Okay, so today we are going to look at chapter or trimester 1 review for trimester 1 for Algebra 1. Alright, what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and I've got the answers up on the screen. So I want you to go through and check your answers. And on the ones that you missed, then I want you to go through and look through the video, find that problem, and then see how I did the work. I'm not going to teach. I might just go through and explain a little bit of how I did the work, but it's up to you to go through and check your work. Alright, so pause it, go through, check your answers, and then fast forward to find the other, the ones that you missed. Okay, so now I went through and I'm on number 1. Number 1, you use order of operations. You do the work, and I try to show you what you did in order of operations to do that. So if you're not sure, pause it, see what I did first. I kind of circled what I was working on, and I came up with a -6. Number 2, absolute value is always positive, so you just subtract. 1 more than 3 times a number. 3 times a number is like 3 times b plus 1. Number 4, commutative property, the a and the b switched places, so it moved, so that's commutative property. Number 5, there was no right answer there, you needed to change the 1/6 to a positive, and the inverse, multiplicative inverse, is you just flip it over. So 6 over 1, the inverse is 1 over 6. And then the next problem, it's kind of a bad problem. It's asking for the opposite. So what they're looking for was the opposite of +3 is -3. And that's where down there is, you see it's a, down here, it's a -3. So that's that one. Alright, number 8. Sorry, 7n minus 2 is not equal to 7n plus 2, so therefore it's no solution. Number 9, try to get rid of that. Number 9, you're just going to do distributive property and keep checking the answer choices until you find the one that matches. Number 10, same idea. You're going to use distributive property. I showed you where my arrows went, I showed you my work, and you keep checking the answer choices until you find out where they stopped. Number 11, you can do it 2 ways. You can either get rid of the fraction by multiplying 4 by both sides, or I went ahead and showed you how usually on these district assessments they might give you examples. They might give you examples of 4 will go into 12 3 times, 4 will go into 8 -2 times. You keep that, and then you just solve for your y. Okay, number 11. I'm going to go up. And again, anywhere that you need to stop and study what I did, then you can do that. Okay, number 12. I multiplied both sides by 2 to get rid of the fractions. I multiplied this one by 2 and this by 2. I went through and I cross-canceled, and I was able to do my work, and I came up with the answer 1. Number 11 or 12, I went through and did distributive property, combined like terms, got x by one side, numbers on the other. So again, if you need to stop and study what I did. Okay, the next one, the best way to do this one was to take this 1/2 and say what's 1/2 of 12, which is 6, what's 1/2 of 4, which is -2. Then you've got an equation that looks like theirs, and then you want to look to see what mistake did they do. It says what is the first incorrect step, and if you look at step 2, they were supposed to have subtracted 6 from both sides, but they added 6 from both sides. But they added 6 to both sides. So the correct step, the step that was incorrect, the first one, was number 2. Okay, number 15. I went ahead and I moved the 10 first, and then I multiplied both sides by 15 to cross cancel. I got 2y is equal to 150, and then I divided by 2 to get 75. Okay, so now that's 1 through 15. Alright, so on number 16, there we're getting into word problems, get into a little bit more work. So Brian has $88 in his savings account.
Troy and Oliver, please report to the...
Okay, sorry about that. I needed to wait for the passing bell to go by. Alright, so now we're on number 16. There's some word problems here. So $88 is what Brian had in his savings account. He wants to save $350 a week, and he has $200 is what he wants to save. So he starts out with 88. He wants to save $350 a week to equal 200. So we've got our equation. The x represents the number of weeks that he's going to have to work to get $200. And so you just plugged it in, write your equation, and then did the math. Okay, and I showed you up here at the top, there's a little bit of division that I did because I didn't use a calculator. Number 17, the length of a rectangle is 7 centimeters more than its width. So I say W is its width. I wish I could get rid of that. Okay, W is the width. Maybe I can just highlight, make it better. Right here. And so the length is 7 centimeters more than the width. So it's W plus 7. Alright, so now I'm going to find the perimeter. Perimeter is 54. That's what they gave us right here. So then I'm going to go W plus 7. That's this W plus 7 plus W plus W plus 7 plus W is equal to 54. And there's 4 W's. 7 plus 7 is 14. Subtract, and then I divide it by 4 to get 10. Now 10 is not my answer. 10 is what I found as my width. I need to find out my length. So I put 10 plus 7, and I got 17. That's where 17 came from. Okay, the next one, number 18. 6 less than 5 times a number is 74. And I just look for an equation that matches that. 6 less than 5 times a number. 5 times a number is like 5 times n, so 5n. And then it's 6 less than that, so that's a subtraction problem. And I just found my equation that matches that problem. And if I did the math, I'd find it 16, but there's only one that'll work, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose that one. Number 16. Or number 16, number 19. I don't like fractions, so I'm going to get rid of the fractions. I'm going to find a common denominator, which is 6. So I multiply all the quantities by 6 over 1. So all those that are in red are the 6 over 1. Then I cross cancel, and I get 3 times 3 is 9. That's where the 9x came from. I cross cancel. I've got negative 5x. I cross cancel, and I get 2. Put all the x's together to get 4x. Divide by 4, and I get 2 over 4, which is 1/2. Again, I'm not teaching, I'm just explaining in case you're not sure how I got to work. Number 20, same idea. We need a common denominator, and the easiest way to find a common denominator is just multiply the two numbers together to get 15, but there's also an x there. Multiply everything you see by 15x, 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 that's what the blue is. Cross cancel. Then I'm going to go 5 times 4 is 20, and I need an x there. Negative 2 times 15 is negative 30, and 3 times 6 is 18, and there's an x there. Then numbers on one side, letters on the other, and I get x is equal to 15. Okay, the next one, 21, Rachel in her swimming pool. Right here is the equation that they want us to use, so you need to look closely for that. The water amount is the W, 500 gallons. That's what you're going to put right here for your 500 gallons. Plug that in for your W, and then just do the math. Okay, next one. Okay, 3 consecutive odd integers means numbers that are consecutive, they're one right after the other. Odd integers would be like 1, 3, 5, 7. So if you have one odd number, it's going to be, you're going to count 2 more to the second one and then 2 more to the fourth. I'm going to go over this in class with you, alright, if you've already done it with you, but I will go over it. We haven't done any problems like that, but the equation that you set up is right here. I added the x's together, added the numbers, and I solved. My x is 27. Then if I say 27 plus 2 is 29, and then 27 plus 4 is 31. So again, we didn't do problems like that throughout the trimester, but it's pretty simple process. So we will go over that in class, and I don't know what's going on with my computer, but sorry about that. Okay, now we're at 23. Alright, 23. They are just telling you that the long ones are an x and the dots are a 1, so just count how many long sticks there are. There's 1, 2, 3, and then how many dots there are. There's 8, how many on each side. So that's how I got the equation, letter D, or the answer D. Okay, number 24. And again, went through this in class, but he has an average. To find average, you add all your numbers together, divide by the amount of numbers you added. So he did 62 miles an hour for 4 hours. That's where the 62 is. And it's 2 hours that we do not know. And we know that we're going to divide all that added together by 6. And then we should have an answer of 70. So I added 62 4 times, which we got 248. And there's 2 x's. We're going to multiply both sides by 6 to get rid of the fraction. That's where I got 420. Subtract the 284 or 48, divide by 2, and I got 86 miles an hour. Alright, the next one, we're getting into our word problems for number 25, and I have 25 on another page, so let me find it. Alright, number 25 is a round trip problem. It says one airplane pilot flew at 270 miles per hour to her destination. On her return trip, she flew 360 miles per hour. Her total flying time was 7 hours. How far was it from one airport to the other? Okay, so therefore, I've got my chart. I filled in the information that we have. We're set these equal to each other. The whole trip took 7 hours. That's where that 7 came from. And it's 7 minus the time it took her to get there. So there's our equation. We did the math. I found my time was t. I found my time was 4. I multiplied 270 times 4 to get the miles the airports were apart. Okay. Alright, 26, back on the page. It's a train leaves a station at the same time, heading in opposite directions. Okay. One is going 70 miles an hour, the other is going 60 miles an hour. How long will it take for the train to be 312 miles apart? So we don't know the time. That's our t. And now we know that the distance is 312. That's what you're setting it equal to. Add them together and then divide, and that's where we're going to get 2.4, and I did my division on the side so you could see it. Sorry. Okay. Next one, number 27. Alright, this one I did do with you for warm-up. So we've got at 7 a.m. Joe starts jogging at 6 miles per hour. At 7:10, Ken starts off after him. How fast must Ken run in order to overtake him at 7:30? So I filled out my chart. Joe is at 6 miles. He is running for a half hour. That's where the 1/2 came from. Ken, we don't know his rate, but we know he rode at 1/3 hour. Or in class we did 30 minutes and we did 20 minutes. And so if we do the math, we go through here. We got 6/2, which is 3, and then I multiply both sides by 3 to get 9. Alright, that's that one. Number 28 is at the bottom here. It's a mixture problem. What do you know about pure grape juice? It's 100%. That's the key for this one. Fill in the chart. 800 milligrams of 15%. How many of the 100%? 800 plus X is the mixture, and it's going to be a 20%. So we've got our chart. We're going to do our math. I'm going to move down just a little bit. Oh man. Move down just a little bit. And there's my work. So if you need to study it, or you may want to go back to your notes on this section if you're having a hard time with that. Alright, number 29, I have that on another sheet of paper. Hold on. And this is a chemistry problem also. So I got my chart. A chemist has 50 liters of a solution that is 30% solution. How many liters of water, remember water is 0%, would be added to make the resulting solution 20%. So I've got my 50, my X and that. There's my chart filled out. I cleared my decimals on this problem. I didn't bother to write 0x. I just left that off when I went to work out my problem. I did my multiplication. I did my subtraction. I did my division. So my answer is C. Alright, on number 30 we have a work problem. Tom can do it in 8 hours, so that's 1/8. His sister can do it in 12 hours, that's 1/12. How long will it take them to do it together? That's 1/t. Find a common denominator, which I chose 24. 24t, 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 crossed, cancelled, got 3t plus 2t is equal to 24. Added them together, divided, and I got 4 4/5 hours. Another work problem for number 31. This time Debbie can do it in 6 hours, and Jeff can do it in 4. How long do they do it together? So the same type of problem. I found a common denominator. I divided. Okay, I found it was 2 and 2/5, but there was no fraction choice, so I needed to make that 2/5 a decimal by doing an in and out problem. Number 32. Just looking at the table, it says what is the correct equation needed to solve the problem. So remember, it's the top hold on, sorry. It's the top 2 plus added together. So it's these two added to equal this one. So that's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking and I saw it's letter A. Alright, next one's going up. That was 32. 33. You're just finding the inequality that's graphed. It's a closed circle. We're starting at -3, and it says x is smaller than, so it's pointing towards the smaller numbers. The next one. Okay, Angela solved the inequality as shown. Her answer is incorrect. Which step shows her error? So if I looked at the first one, she subtracted 3 from both sides. That is a correct step. But if you notice on the next step, she flipped her sign right here. Right here she flipped her sign. She was not supposed to do that. Only time you flip your sign is if you add or subtract or multiply or divide by a negative number, and she didn't multiply or divide by a negative number. So step 2 is the incorrect step. Alright, we're almost getting there. Alright, 35. Go to the following is a graph of the solution. So what we need to do is you need to go through and get the inequality to get t by itself. So I did the first one in blue, and then I did the second one in green. So now I have two answers. I have t is greater than 2, and so I looked and I found a graph that had a closed circle at 2, so it could be either this one or this one. And the next one I have t is less than -5 and it's open circle, so I have a -5, it's open circle here. This one's less than -5, it's going to go that way, and t is greater than or equal to 2, so that's why it was letter A. Number 36. We have just distributive properties, so I went through and multiplied. Numbers on one side, letters on the other. So this one I divided by a -12. When you divide or multiply by a negative number, I'm going to flip that inequality sign around. That's why I get x is less than -12. Okay, number 37. I went down here and I did the work right over here. Did the work for each of them. I did 2 separate inequalities. I got all the x's on one side, numbers on the other. So then I ended up with x is greater than or equal to -1. So I found a closed circle at -1. It could either be C or B, because these are at closed circles at -1. And then I have open circle at 2. So again, it could be either one of these. Now we have to look to see which way the shading's going. So we have x is bigger than, so it's going to shade bigger than -1. It's going to go this way. And then x is smaller than 2. It's going to go that way. So that's why it's B. Okay, going up to the top of the page. 38. Okay, absolute value, they're going to have 2 problems. I set it up with 2 problems. One of them just like we see it, with inequality the same direction and a positive. The second problem, I'm going to flip that inequality sign around right here and change this to a -5. And then I just did the math. I have my 2 problems. They're both open circles, so it could be B or D, not A or C. X is smaller than 4, so all the numbers that are smaller than 4 go this way, and then x is greater than -6, so this way. So here we've got our answer choice is letter D. Okay, next one, 39. Okay, first thing I want to do is I want to get the absolute value of A by itself. So I'm going to move the 4 to the other side by subtracting. Then I have the absolute value of A is equal to 1. Well, remember, with absolute value, there's 2 solutions. One's positive, one's negative. So that's why it could be +1 or -1. And finally, the last one, absolute value solutions, when you're solving, have 2 problems I need to do. So one of them set up just like we have it. Oop, sorry about that. Bell's ringing. Okay, we're going to set it up in 2 problems. One of them, just like the problem indicates the original problem, keeping everything the same. Over here, we're flipping the sign and making that a negative. Then I'm going to go through and do my math to both sides. If you're not sure what I did, go ahead and stop and study it. Divided by 5, I ended up with x is less than or equal to 8/5. And over here, I have x is greater than or equal to 0. So I'm looking for the x's on the big side with the 0, x's on the small side with the 8/5, and that's why I chose this one. So it's D. Alright, so hopefully you didn't have to watch the whole video. You only had to watch the ones that you weren't sure of. If you're struggling, go back to your composition book and find the problem types that we had in this and go back and study those for your test. Good luck.